All right, so this is going to be part two of this glorious conformity series rant that I'm doing right now, right? And in this part two, the topic is going to be triggers and the gaslighting that comes with people that tell you, work on your triggers, right? Watch. So on this one, I pulled it up. This is the dictionary definition. Trigger, right? The noun for trigger: a small device that releases a spring or catch and so sets off a mechanism, especially in order to fire a gun. We'll do the verb, because verb is what you do, right? Cause an event or situation to happen or exist. The example that they use is an allergy can be triggered by stress or overwork, right? Cause a device to function. These are the verbs. The next one, of an event or situation, cause someone to do something. Of an event or situation, cause someone to do something. The next one, especially if something read, seen, or heard, distress someone, typically as a result of arousing feelings or memories associated with particular traumatic experience. So, in each case, there is a cause and a motherfucking effect. Since when has that not been the case? That in order to trigger something, you need an outside cause. Right? You got a gun? It ain't gonna shoot unless the trigger is set off. It takes something outside of the gun. If you just leave the gun alone, the trigger don't go off. Right? You can leave the gun on the table. Unless this table is vibrating and the gun is shaking until it falls off the table, so it hits the edge and falls off, that gun is not going off. It's not gonna misfire. It's just gonna be still. They'll tell you, work on your triggers. But they don't ever want to address the cause of the triggers. Right? What does it say? To cause an event or situation to happen. Like they don't get it. To cause something, someone to do something. To cause someone. If somebody tells you to work on your triggers because they are triggering you, that is not your responsibility to react normally the way you should when the trigger is pulled. If I gave you a gun right now and it starts jamming when you pull the trigger, that is a fucked up gun. Apply it to humans. If I'm trying to pull the trigger and you don't do nothing, you are a dysfunctional human. I was looking at the example the other day and I posted it on my Facebook, right? Where the dude's like, oh, this orange. See, this is the gaslighting portion of it. This is the classical conditioning of the gaslighting portion, right? Right? Where they go, oh, this orange, you got to work on your triggers. This orange, you squeeze the orange, the cause. And I commented on it, on the post that I saw on Instagram. I'm like, if nobody squeezes the orange, the juice doesn't come out. He's like, yeah, the juice is inside of you. He's trying to, make the metaphor that you're this orange, this analogy that you're this orange, right? And that the juice is inside of you, right? If the natural function of this orange is to provide you with some juice and nourishment, right? If you leave that orange alone, maybe over time it'll rot. Maybe the peel will soften up and then it'll naturally come out. But eventually it's going to come out. There's supposed to be juice in this orange. You don't want a dry orange. Unless you actually like dry the fruit and that's how you want it, right? You dehydrate the fruit, right? But if I give you an orange, right, and I'm trying to squeeze this orange, you're trying to squeeze this orange and you can't produce juice from it, you're gonna go, something's wrong with this orange. Why don't you apply that to a human? We trying to squeeze this person, nothing's coming out. But see, when you apply that part of the analogy to it, they want to go, oh no, that's the way it's supposed to be. They're trying to push you further from your nature. When they tell you dumb shit like work on your triggers, they're trying to gaslight you so that they can write a gun on safety. It's meant for you to be safe, yourself to be safe, right? You don't want to accidentally pull a trigger, right? That would be like a mood swing, right? You don't want to just randomly pull the trigger for no reason. It's crazy because the people who want to take shots at you the most are the ones that'll tell you to work on your triggers. That's exactly how it goes. Again, the people who want to take shots at you the most are the ones that'll tell you to work on your triggers. What kind of human would you be if you don't react in emotional reaction when you have human emotions? Energy, people like, oh yeah, you gotta match my energy, but stay out your feelings. How are you gonna do that? Energy, emotion is emotions. You don't got no emotions, you ain't got no motion. You don't got no energy to put out. It doesn't make sense. Work on your triggers. Don't pull it. It's simple. That requires an outside source. If you gave me a gun right now, again, I can set it on the table. That gun is not going to go off unless I make the table vibrate or something and it falls off the edge. Then boom, the trigger goes off. Does the gun need to work on its trigger? No, it serves its function, right? You could put the gun on safety for your safety, right? You don't want the baby to touch it. You don't want it to just go off randomly when the baby pulls the trigger. So we're going to make it a little harder, right? But what they want you to do when they tell you to work on your triggers is to make it so that when they trigger you, they're still safe. You got to be on safety for them. You can't defend yourself, which is the purpose of you having this weapon in the first place. That's what your emotions are for. When they attack your emotions, something goes off, boom. They're trying to make it so, okay, we pulled his trigger, nothing happens. That's what they want, right? If a criminal is in front of you, they're trying to rob you. You got your gun on safety, your emotions on safety. Okay, boom, remove it. You still have control once you remove the safety. You are aiming and directing it at the aggressor. That's what they don't want to happen. So that way, when they're trying to rob you, you do nothing and you successfully get robbed. Even though you got this gun that'll prevent them, I'm not going to use it, right? It's like when they gaslight somebody, right? Oh, you got cheated. I always use the cheating analogy because it's simple. You got cheated. Oh, you being over emotional. Da, 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 da. Stay out your feelings because they don't want you to use your feelings. Because without your feelings, you don't lack common sense. Your intuition is gone. Right? Oh, this doesn't feel right. Oh, stay out your feelings. Now you can't tell it doesn't feel right because you're not in your feelings. Now you actually do the opposite of what you're feeling because you're trying to stay out of your feelings. Right? Oh yeah, I'm gonna ignore this feeling. Now they done cheated on you and you like, I never saw the signs. No, you saw it, you ignored it. But they'll tell you each and every time, work on your triggers in order to manipulate and gaslight you. This is why I hate the saying so much. Work on your triggers. Oh, you triggered. Da da da. Da. When did we start saying this so much anyway? I don't even remember that as a kid, like hearing it this often. It's only been in this modern day since we got technology and all of this stuff and all of this rise in mental health that oh now everything is a trigger now. Right? Even the therapist. I shared the clip when I was in the therapy session with Paige and she's like, oh, do you have a trigger for smoking weed? Like a dog barking? Anything could be a trigger now. Just like everything could be a mental health illness, right? It's designed. Them telling you to work on your triggers is the classical conditioning. Part of this harassment, this MK Ultra gang stalking harassment, they are trying to do the classical conditioning on you so that you are irresponsive or unresponsive when they harass you. right? That way they can double down and do more to try to trigger you. Again, this orange scenario, right? This orange analogy that the dude used. You're the orange, right? You don't want the juice to come out, right? If I want orange juice, I'm gonna squeeze the orange, and if no juice comes out, I'm gonna say that orange is defective, right? They want to squeeze the orange but not get orange juice in their eye. Unless they want to aim the orange juice at you, then they want to squeeze the orange and try to direct it at you so that you get orange juice in your eye. This is why I say this whole, and this goes into the glorious conformity. Simply because once they can get you to control your triggers, understand, control. That's what it's about. Control. They're trying to give you the illusion of this stoicism, and yeah, you have like so much mastery over your emotion by getting you to control yourself. Oh, I'm gonna hit you every day, but don't hit me back. The hit is the trigger. I can tell you now, you hit me, I'm gonna hit you back. Weren't you taught that as a kid? Were you not taught that as a kid? Somebody hits you, you hit them back. Controlling your triggers does this. Somebody hits you, you're not supposed to get angry and hit them back. So now you just bottled, you got all of this bottled up inside. You know what you're supposed to do when somebody hits you? And you bottled up all of this anger because you don't want to seem like you're angry and triggered? Now you're talking to a fucking therapist. And they're going to tell you, you have all of this pent up aggression. You never let it out. You didn't hit them back. And they keep on doing it. Because now you controlled your trigger. They know, shit, when I pull this trigger, nothing's going to happen. He on safety. He is safe to attack. Because his gun don't work. Right? They don't ever want you to think critically and apply it to the human emotion. This world is designed to diminish your human experience. This is why we have all of this AI crave right now. The AI is supposed to be better than the human because it has less emotion. But then, when they want to boast about a grand product with the AI, what do? They talk about how it now has human emotions. Oh yeah, it can respond like a human. Now the AI is becoming more human than you. What happens when the AI becomes triggered? Right? You push the button and it did something. If that button no longer works, is it not a broken AI or a dysfunctional AI? It needs to be fixed. Right? This is why now you're bottling up all your emotions and then they send you to be fixed by a therapist, a counselor, or some other form of rehabilitation. And that's making them money. Right? Every time you suppress something after being triggered, it's building up. Now you don't know, you got all of these displaced emotions. You don't even know how to react properly anymore. Now come and get us paid by coming to therapy and we'll tell you how to react. No, no, no. Don't punch that person who punched you. Count to 10 and take a deep breath. Woosah. Now you done sat there, counted to 10, took the deep breath. By the end of the week, you're back in therapy talking about, yeah, you know, this person keeps on doing it. This keeps on happening. I'm still depressed. This is why I don't talk about depression and stuff, because I'm not depressed. I'm sitting there talking to this therapist. I gotta sit there and talk about books. I gotta ask for recommendations about books just so we have something to talk about. If you trigger me, I'm gonna react. Then send me to jail. Is that if that's how it has to be, that's how it has to be. But I'm human. The only response is the proper response, your natural response. Right? If I killed your whole family right now, don't take revenge. Don't. Nope. Nope. Do you know it takes an emotional response to call the cops? You have to be in some form of distress, something. Right? What's it gonna take for me to get you to be angry? Dag, I punched him. He didn't get angry, but I know he's not gonna do nothing when I punch him. Let me kick him. He's not gonna do nothing when I kick him. Let me shoot him. He ain't gonna do nothing when I shoot him. So I can just keep on testing. No. At some point, you have to draw a line. They'll tell you this, right? Then they'll say, right, draw the line. Because what is a therapist going to tell you? You have to learn to set boundaries. What is a boundary at this point, then? If you're not supposed to react in any way, right? You're setting a boundary. I'm going to, right? You cross this line, I'm fucking you up. That's the boundary. But they're conditioning you. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to use my words to tell you if you cross this line, I'm going to fuck you up. Now they've crossed the line, but then you've been conditioned to not react. I'm gonna draw another line. That's your only reaction. And then they have already been conditioned to continue to cross the line because you're conditioned to not do nothing when they cross the line. This is why I say death by the script, right? I've been sitting there searching for every which way to try to not react with violence, but it's like I said, sometimes you got to fight fire with fire, and that's what's coming next, fire and brimstone. This is why the Bible says that, right? It's in the same way. It's so deep, that analogy, because it's like you look at God, right? Again, he has emotions, right? Y'all are triggering him. He's like, listen, y'all pissed me off. I was trying to let y'all live. I flooded y'all. I felt bad because some of my good ones got swept away with y'all. It didn't really work. I tried to even save the good ones. It came right back. Next time it's gonna be fire and brimstone, and I just gotta personally remove all. I got something for your ass. I got a person, and I'm gonna just recreate next time. I'm not gonna leave it and let it rebuild itself. I'm gonna just get rid of it, pick out the ones I want, and recreate the rest. That's what he's telling you, right? Because that solution that he tried before, right? And he's admitting, like, yo, I felt bad. This is why he made the covenant, right? Where he's like, dag, I'm not gonna flood y'all no more. But later he still realized, I did the flood because they had to go. And I felt bad. So I saved a few. I felt bad. But I saved a few, and then they repeated the process. I drew a line. I said, yo, if y'all don't behave, I'm gonna get rid of y'all. And I didn't rest on my laurels. I saved a couple of them. And I knew it. I knew they was gonna come back, do it again. So next time I gotta make it so they can't do it again. Fire and brimstone, we getting rid of all the negativity this time. And we're gonna create a proper paradise. We're gonna separate the wheat from the tare. That way this doesn't happen again. This is what the story of Judgment Day is supposed to be about, right? How is it gonna go? I don't know exactly. But that's the analogy for it. Whether you believe in it or not. That's what the analogy is supposed to be. Whether they say, oh, a new world order, a certain amount of the population has to go, it's all in that same thing. Whether God does it, the government does it. Of course, God's law comes before man's law all the time. See, but this is the thing. They want you to become less emotional. This is why they tell you not to be triggered. Don't or control your triggers. There's no other way around it, really. Right? Even if you go, oh, let karma deal with them, you're still expecting something to happen to them. Right? Oh, trigger their karma instead of you doing it yourself. No, sometimes an eye for an eye is necessary. And that's what they're afraid of. Because they want to come to you with their triggers and attack you with their guns. Right? This is the whole police wanting to take weapons away from you. So that way when they, you try to stage a revolt against them, you got nothing to fight with. Right? They're afraid of your aggression. So what do they have to do? They have to tell you to tone down your aggression. All right, Dad. When we take all the rights away, we know that they're not going to react because they've been conditioned to control their triggers. Right? It's like the whole nonviolent protests and all of these things. It takes longer that. Right? Sometimes you got to go, you know what? They're attacking us with fire shit. This is what war is about for the most part. Right? Peace doesn't last long. Why? Because they keep on triggering you. Eventually you go, you know what? I'm not taking it no more. You see, then at the same time, they'll tell you, "Oh, you're not better than anyone," but expect you to respond better than someone. Am I? You trigger me. Am I supposed to respond better than you than if I triggered you? Why do you have this expectation of me? And then call me, say that I'm not better. See, this is gaslighting, right? Oh, I have better mastery over my emotions than you do. No, you don't. Not if you're actively going around triggering people for no reason, unsolicited triggering. Like, what is that? But they'll book all of these psychiatrists and all. Your psychiatrist has depression and anxiety, ADHD, all of these things, but they're sitting there on the other side of the desk because they have some PhD or master's degree, and it's overinflating their ego, and they're just like, "Yeah, I'm better at my emotions." No, they're not. They're just distracting themselves with your problems. You don't even know what their problems are. They're sitting there focusing on what triggers you. You don't even know what's triggering them right now. You probably teaching them how to control their triggers by them sitting there talking to you about yours, right? Sitting there now they're gaslighting you, and the whole time they're getting paid to do it because why? They've already conformed, and they're trying to teach you to conform like they did, right? No therapist should have a gun, not for safety, not for protection, none of that, because you controlled your trigger. You should find no reason to ever have a gun at that point because you've mastered your trigger. Violence should never be the answer to you, right? You're a psychiatrist, you're a therapist, right? Any female therapist that has a man should never expect that man to defend her, not with violence at least, right? Somebody break into the house, honey, call the cops. That's what she should expect. She shouldn't expect that man to go fight that man, from even if he don't got a gun. No, don't fight him because that's over aggression. You done broke into my house. You're not supposed to have an emotional response to somebody breaking into your house. Or is it sometime? Do you get to pick when I can have an emotional response? That's another form of control. We have a saying that says make it make sense. It doesn't make sense. The only way you can make it make sense is by sticking to your nature. You pull the trigger, it shot. It makes sense. You pull the trigger, it doesn't shoot. Something it doesn't make sense. Something is not right. Why isn't this gun going off? Is my gun jammed? Is there dirt inside? You feel me? It's like is the trigger mechanism messed up? Maybe I didn't put the spring in. Why is my gun not shooting? Maybe it's too loose, right? Because that's another part of the trigger. It can be too loose. Dang, you put it on safety, it don't move. You're like, damn, my gun ain't shooting. I got it off safety. Mm, it's what's wrong with my gun? Or you could be like, this shit just keep going back, but it still ain't shooting. It ain't hitting nothing. The bullets ain't coming out. It's super loose. Something is wrong with it when it doesn't function properly. When you pull a trigger and it don't shoot, you're gonna go, something is wrong with the gun. You squeeze the orange and then no juice comes out, you're gonna go, something is wrong with this fucking orange. Whether you squashing grapes to make wine. Damn, imagine you sitting there, you got what they told you was fresh grapes, and you stepping on them, the grape ain't getting squished. You're like, what the fuck is this rock? What is this grape made out of? You're gonna start questioning things. But they're trying to move you from your nature every time and condition you every time that they tell you to control your triggers, right? You can't control what other people do. You can only control your reaction. So what they try to get you to do is to get you to control your reaction to their action, a natural reaction, right? You can go to a doctor and they do that little knee thing where they take that little mini hammer and hit you on the knee, and you're supposed to like kick out if you're healthy. You don't kick out there, go, oh, he's not responding, right? They triggered that response. They knew where to hit, boom. Oh, he's healthy. Cool. His leg kicked out. Boom. What? He kicked out. Cool. He's healthy. Next guy. Boom. He didn't kick out. Something's wrong with him. He got nerve damage or something. Something's wrong. The response he was supposed to give, he didn't kick out. So, something's wrong. Now we got some investigating to do. I was trying to trigger a response. Nothing happened. Something is wrong. Apply it to your emotions. Right? This is why we can make God angry. He has emotions. You are triggering an emotional response. An energetic response at the very least. Even if you say karma, you're going to trigger karma. If karma wouldn't be in place, that would be a reaction to a cause. Because you did this, karma did this. There's even the natural law in karma, right? This is why I say to people, I can be your karma. You hit me, I'm gonna fuck you up. That's your karma, nigga. You don't get to decide the means of you getting fucked up. Oh, I feel that you went overboard in that ass of me. Stay out your feelings. It doesn't make sense, right? That's what the judge gonna tell you. Oh, that level of violence is unnecessary. How did you decide what necessary level of violence was appropriate? How did you make that decision? Were you in your emotions? You feel. Stay out your emotions, Mr. Judge. Oh, are judges the only ones allowed? You got to be qualified.